Hello people, Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube segment, it is going to be, so I'm going to be giving you my predictions for 2012 NFL season games, week number 12. In the first game, I like the first game that I'm predicting, I like the Cincinnati Bengals over the Oakland Raiders. This one's very simplistic. Oakland is just struggling right now. They seem like they really can't stop anybody on defense, and after seeing the Bengals throttle the defending Super Bowl champions and winning big the last week, I don't think they should have any problem defeating Oakland at home. Next game, I want to take the Pittsburgh Steelers on the road against the Cleveland Browns. Now the Pittsburgh Steelers, they may not be have Big Ben playing, but it's just the general recent domination in years over this team. Cleveland can make it competitive because their defense and their pass defense especially could keep them in this game, and they are playing at home. But I just believe that Pittsburgh will be able to move the ball just well enough, barely, to maybe probably pull a tight one out in this one, and I'm going to stick with the going at Steel Curtain and the Steelers in this game. The next game I'm going to take Indianapolis at home over Buffalo. I think in this game, I understand Buffalo looks like they might have been playing a little bit better recently, but Andrew Luck will be providentially unlucky in this game, and more than just that, because he's showing that he is one really emerging, even though as a rookie this year, one of the better quarterbacks in this league. And they are playing at home. Indy still has an opportunity to make a good playoff run, and I don't see the Bills really stalling them or being much of an obstruction in them trying to get make that next move toward making the playoffs. So I'm going to say that Indy should win this. Next game, we'll take Denver on the road over the Kansas City Chiefs. Denver right now is basically playing lights out. They look, no one's invincible, but they look like they can beat just about anybody at this point. And Kansas City looks like they just can't, really do anything right on all phases of the game. Kansas City's at home. That's about the only thing going for them. However, I will take Peyton Manning-led Denver Broncos in this one, and they should win this one in a fairly easy manner, I think. The next game, Seattle, I'm going to take them on the road against Miami. The Seattle Seahawks, right now, they are playing very well. Seattle, looks like they're in position right now where they could really seize a wild card spot, and they really are not playing, much worse than the reigning division champs, and right now the supreme team in that division, the San Francisco 49ers. Seattle's defense, they're always coming to play. Pete Carroll has this team going in the right direction right now, especially on defense. Their safeties are phenomenal, and I think Miami is kind of taking a step back right now. I believe Seattle will win this one. Next game, I'm going to take Atlanta on the road against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has been playing lights out. They had a struggle in their contest, and they barely pulled it out. I know Atlanta, I believe, had a competitive game last week as well. I think Atlanta's trying to really make a move to get that best record in the NFC. And Matt Ryan, I know he threw I think it was 5 INTs last week, but I believe more of that is an aberration as opposed to a trend. And I'm going to see that I believe Atlanta should take this one, and they're going to find some way to win. It'll be close, I believe, but I think Atlanta does pull this game out. And the next game, I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, Jacksonville is at home. They do have Maurice Jones-Drew, and they definitely played a lot better, especially on offense last week. And maybe their quarterback, they can maybe really start moving this ball a little bit better and really be, rejuvenated on offense. But I do believe that, Tennessee had a fire lit under them recently, with their owner basically getting in their face and, saying, it's basically time to, shape up or ship out, so to speak, in his own way. I believe that, Tennessee, will win this game. Being a divisional opponent, it could be pretty close. Jacksonville, if they play anything like they did last week, they have a better chance than most people think. But I will take the Titans on the road in this one. The next game, San Diego Chargers at home. I'm going to take them over the Baltimore Ravens. The Baltimore Ravens defense, did show up against the Steelers last week. However, that was a Ben Roethlisberger-less Steelers, and that was a 3-point win, and they did struggle in that game. I kind of think that, I think if I remember correctly, the last time Baltimore had to go into San Diego and play them, I think San Diego throttled them, coupled with the fact that Baltimore is a little bit of a different team on the road in contrast to at home. At home, they're nearly invincible, but on the road, I kind of see them having, a little bit of problem against this, this offensive attack of San Diego. Now, San Diego may not be the perennial contender they once were, but they still have enough weapons on offense, and I think they will, it could be like a scoring contest, and I think San Diego wins this kind of game, so I'm going to go with the Chargers. The next game is Arizona at home over the St. Louis Rams. Now, St. Louis is kind of one of those, perplexing teams, and they, everything I felt pointed them to winning that game at home against the Jets last week. And what happened was they basically laid an egg, and the Jets, pretty much trounced them for all intents and purposes. I believe Arizona at home, they're kind of one of those iffy, schizophrenic teams, but being at home, I think that's really the tiebreaker in this particular matchup. And I think the, Arizona Cardinals will prevail in this one. Now, here's an interesting game coming up. I'm going to talk about New Orleans at home versus San Francisco 49ers. I think the Saints at home, they are the resurgent Saints right now, and they are playing really lights out. I think this is a team right now that, I understand the saying, you are what your record is. They're like 500 right now. But the New Orleans Saints right now, the last few games or so, are playing like a team much better than that. Drew Brees is on fire. San Francisco 49ers, they had a great game last week against the Bears at home, but that was a Cutler-less Bears team. And, Chicago, and not to detract anything from the 49ers, but Chicago has not fared well against teams over 500 this season. So, I think in this one, I do believe the Saints at home are going to keep rolling, and they will win this one, probably a tight game. And they're also seeking retribution after losing in the playoff game to the 49ers last season at San Francisco. The next game, another interesting matchup, New York Giants at home versus Green Bay Packers. I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers in this one, and this is mainly because of the opposite direction that these teams are going in. The Giants right now are floundering. They got, they lost that game to Cincinnati, and they are not playing like a team, that's really, to me, in my mind, could be capable of repeating as Super Bowl champions. The Green Bay Packers are starting to get their groove right now, and they're playing well at the right time. And even though their record might not be the best in the NFC, the Green Bay Packers are going to be a team to be reckoned with down the stretch. And I believe, in my mind, they could almost be, that favorite to come out of the NFC right now, based on the way they're playing at this juncture of the season. Aaron Rodgers has been lights out recently, and I think the momentum will continue, and I like Green Bay to beat the Giants. In the next game, I'm going to take Philadelphia at home against Carolina. This is kind of like the toilet bowl. These are two abysmal teams going at it, and this could go either way. It's just a simple matter of fact tiebreaker is that this is at Philadelphia, and I believe for that reason mainly, that Philadelphia will be victorious in this game. And even though they seem like they're in disarray and can't seem to do anything right, I think there's just something about that aura being in Philadelphia in this particular matchup, playing against a team that hasn't had struggled as well. They will win this one, but it should be a tight one. Next game, I'm going to take Houston on the road against the Detroit Lions. I think Houston right now, with the exception of that blowout loss they had to Green Bay at home, they played about as good as anybody at this point in the season. Detroit obviously has not met expectations. Me and a lot of the other, I guess you could say, people in the football world, analysts, fans, or what have you, had Detroit making the postseason again this year, and it looks like it's just not going to happen. I think Houston right now is on a mission. They want to get that #1 spot and get that home field advantage in the AFC. And I believe they're not, Detroit is not going to derail them in that quest to do that. And I think Houston, will prevail and win this game. Next game, feast or famine. We got Dallas at home playing the Washington Redskins. But take up the Cowboys at home. Dallas has, shown some signs of life in recent weeks. Granted, that was a nail-biter against the Cleveland Browns, but the Browns are not as bad as a lot of people think, and they do have a very good defense. And Cleveland, can be competitive with a lot more teams than maybe the average person would think. I think Dallas Cowboys and Tony Romo, if he can, play it, to his potential, and the Cowboys, the receivers, I think if they play, like they're supposed to play, especially on offense, the Dallas Cowboys really should win this game, and I believe they will. Next game, New York Jets at home against the New England Patriots. New England Patriots, I just like the way they've been playing, collectively, and, up to this point over the Jets. The Jets are at home. I know New England barely pulled that out at New England against the Jets. I don't expect any complacency in this game. I think New England, this is their time now to, show everybody what they're made of. They put up 59 points last week, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that was the most points that anybody scored since like the late 90s, when I think that was Dan Marino's last football game, when there was like 60 points from Jacksonville was scored against them. So New England right now is right on all cylinders, and they're playing well in every facet right at the right time of the season. And I'm going to go with the Pats in this one. Might be a little more competitive than some people think, mainly because it was a short week, and the Jets, have that little advantage being, having less, I guess we could say lethargy due to the less, traveling and more time to rest because they're at home. But I think, for all intents and purposes, it's safe to say the Patriots will win this one. Last but not least, I'm going to take Minnesota on the road against the Chicago Bears. And, Chicago's at home. I know they got Brian Urlacher, and that team can, be very formidable on defense, especially being at home. But Chicago, to me, I saw what they did the last week and the week before that, and now that, Cutler, probably isn't going to be back in that game, it kind of shows me that, Minnesota, I look at how, they're kind of, they're on all cylinders right now. Adrian Peterson is playing lights out, the running back for the Vikings. Can Chicago protect their quarterback and, prevent him from making errant throws and, mishaps? And I just don't think, they're going to be able to do that well. And I think for those reasons, I'm going to go with the Minnesota Vikings in this particular matchup. Well, people, that will be it for this NFL prediction segment for Week 12, and I will see you next week when I give my predictions for Week 13. Until then, people, stay well.